Let's start with a question. What should America do when a tweeting, trolling celebrity with a reality show lifestyle takes over the Oval Office? That's not a reference to Trump, but rather Kanye West, who joined Trump today to produce unscripted programming, including a stretch where West spoke for 10 minutes straight at the president, sounding off on politics, prison, racism, capitalism, and, of course, plenty of navel-gazing talk about West himself. Now, there's plenty wrong with that picture. But that doesn't mean America should pretend this didn't happen at all today or ignore the implications of how this dynamic affects us. You had two self-aggrandizing marketers turning the seat of power into a setting they prefer, a literal TV set. This was playing across every news channel in real time because this is real now. Now, we're about to have some real talk with the Michael Eric Dyson in a moment. But here's the context. Kanye commanding political and artistic attention for a long time. He beefed with Bush and Obama before befriending Trump. And while there was lots of noise in the Oval Office today, let's listen for a moment to some key parts with Professor Dyson. Here's Kanye on criminal justice and his statement that in a different universe, he would be a black man in prison now.
There's theories that there's infinite amounts of universe and there's alternate universe. So it's very important for me to get Hoover out, because in an alternate universe, I am him. And I have to go and get him free. Again, so what I think is we don't need sentences, we need pardons. We need to talk to people. We feel that stop and frisk does not help the relationships in the city. And everyone that knew I was coming here said, ask about stop and frisk. That's the number one thing that we're having this conversation about.
President Trump has said that he favors stop and frisk. Are you guys going to be discussing that? Do you think you can change his mind?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss. I didn't mean to put you on blast like that, bro. But it's definitely
I'm open-minded.
There's disagreement there on policing policy. But if this were more than a stunt, it would have to involve leverage and negotiation. That kind of strategy was definitely not on display today, as Kanye basically proposed bringing Colin Kaepernick to the White House, which would just give Trump a PR boost with nothing in return.
I made a hat that says "Make America Great," just that. But I would love to see at the Super Bowl Trump wearing the "Make America Great" hat, Colin wearing the "Make America Great," and showing that we can bend a bit on this side, we can bend a bit on this side, and we can learn how to be malleable in the infinite universe that we are and the loving beings that we are.
Now, was Kanye just spinning those ideas off the top of his head? No. West had actually been calling around trying to literally bring Kaepernick to this meeting today. He was shot down by other African-American leaders who privately and publicly opposed the idea. In fact, radio DJ Ebro Darden was just talking about Kanye calling him personally with that pitch on his radio show.
He goes, I'm going to the White House October 11th, and I want to bring Colin Kaepernick with me to meet Donald Trump.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Was exactly what I said.
Literally the words?
No, it was more like, yeah, nah, we not doing that. We're all on the phone, and they're like, well, you know, what do you mean we? This doesn't have anything to do with you. I said, no, it's a we. When it comes to Colin Kaepernick, it's a we. There are people standing with Colin Kaepernick, around him, rallying around him. We are not doing that.
Professor Dyson, I put that question to you first. Why are we not doing that?
We are not doing that because it doesn't make sense. We're not doing that because we have not reduced the complexity and complication of public policy to personalities. When Kanye says, sorry, bruh, I didn't mean to put you on blast that way about stop and frisk, and Donald Trump says, well, I'm open-minded, it is a matter of law, of jurisprudence in New York City, that stop and frisk was ruled to be illegal and therefore subverting the rights of African-American people, ostensibly that Kanye West represents and wants to speak to. This is such a blitzkrieg of blathering ignorance on one level. And I say this as a man who loves Kanye West, who admires his genius, and who considers him a friend. But I beg him, I plead to him, Kanye, please cease the interventions through media of trying to engage issues about which you don't have sophisticated comprehension and knowledge. You speak about the 13th Amendment. Why don't you watch Ava DuVernay's 13th and understand the historic legacy against which that 13th Amendment unfolds and the degree to which mass incarceration of African American and Latinx and other poor peoples has occurred. Here we are having discussions about Kanye West in the White House. What did he have shards of brilliance? To be sure. His notion of the infinite universe and alternative universes, we don't have to wait to see what another black man could do in another universe. This universe is quite competent of revealing that. Wes Moore wrote about two Wes Moores, one who was like him, an achieved and accomplished young man, and another one who was sent packing and had a extraordinarily tragic life. The point is, we are already dealing with alternative universes. They are called black and white, among many others. Differences of applying justice. Opioid addiction among white Americans is treated one way. It is hospitalized. It is medicalized. African American people are criminalized. That's an alternative universe that needs to be closed. So the tragedy with Kanye West is he says, look, I was misdiagnosed as bipolar. Let's acknowledge this. This is Mental Health Awareness Day. I think Kanye West is dealing with the grief and trauma of the after effect of his mother dying, the PTSD that he is in one sense engaged, and certainly on another sense encountered. And we must intervene on his behalf. He resents the fact, on the one hand, that we talk about his mental illness, and yet he talks openly and honestly about this. This is time for us to say, Kanye, we as African American people cannot stand idly by while you give cover to a man who has proved to be a white supremacist who has no interest in African American people. When you stood up and said George Bush does not care about black people, Donald Trump cares less than that. Donald Trump has been actively engaged in enterprises that undermine the integrity and the safety and the very survival politically of African American people in this country. And while we're dealing with the sideshow of Kanye West, black people are being deliberately denied access to voting. Voter fraud is going on among indigenous people and Native Americans in this country and African American people. Look at what's happening with Stacey Abrams in Georgia. And yet here we are concerned with the narcissistic reproduction of the self-image of one black man and another white man, and in the balance weighs the future of our democratic process, and neither of them have the capacity, the competence, nor the compassion to deal with this in a serious fashion.
Strong. And you might have gone full 10 minutes on his 10 minutes just fact-checking, Professor.
I mean, man, you got to do it, bro. Come to class, Kanye. Take a class. And this is what I mean. When I tell young people, and I don't mean any disrespect, stop believing that social media can adjudicate competing claims of rationality. Read a book. Don't just get on Twitter. Just don't get on Facebook. Just don't get on Instagram. Just don't swipe left or right. Get deep into the archives. Read books, papyri, texts, digitized on Kindle. But my God, be informed. We don't need celebrity to become a spectacle to prevent us from understanding and learning and knowledge. And this is a grand display of mass ignorance in the face of the downfall of democracy. And we have a white and a black man joined together at the narcissistic hip who refuse to understand that they are more a roadblock than a road to real democracy in our country.
It makes a lot of sense when you put it like that. The narcissism is something many people observed. It's part of why both these people are quite good at social media, because social media is constantly a projection of self, and we have a generation raised on it, although there are ways to connect and organize on it as well.
That are beautiful. That are beautiful. That are beautiful.
Since you talk about picking up a text or a book, for those of us who've seen this and we take this as something that happened in the Oval Office. This was a newsworthy event, but for many people in a tragic sense. What would you say is the learned or informed response to what Kanye West said in the Oval Office in front of Donald Trump today, which was the claim that to bring up Donald Trump's flirtation with and sometimes support of white supremacy is to try to control a vote or tell people how to vote by their identity?
This is white supremacy by ventriloquism. A black mouth is moving, but white racist ideals are flowing from Kanye West's mouth. Kanye West is engaging in one of the most nefarious practices yet. A black body and brain are the warehouse for the articulation and expression of anti-black sentiments that have been chin-checked by people with far more rigorous credentials. Michelle Alexander has written about the new Jim Crow. Khalid Muhammad has written about the condemnation of blackness. We've also had James Peterson write about prison industrial complex for beginners. So there is enough material out here for us to understand what it is that we've got to do.
To look at the policy implications. My final question to you is about the unique character that Kanye West plays in his own mind, and he does have a lot of followers, and he is a political force, and there are people who are worried about this precisely because they're worried that this is an October confusion to try to help Donald Trump in the midterms. That's what he might get out of it. So I wonder, what do you think about the fact, because you've written books that deal seriously with this music and the lyrical content, and you teach classes on it, as some of our viewers may know. What do you think about the fact that Kanye basically previewed all of this in a sardonic, comedic take on himself? I love Kanye when he said, and I'm reading from it, I hate the new Kanye, the bad mood Kanye, the always rude Kanye, spaz in the news Kanye. I miss the old Kanye. Did he see this coming? And my final question to you, sir, do you miss the old Kanye?
I miss the old Kanye that wrote about crack music. I miss the old Kanye who agreed with Professor Muhammad at Harvard, who writes about the condemnation of blackness. I miss the old Kanye who understood that we're dealing with serious, insidious forces that undermine us. The Kanye who joined with Jay-Z to talk about, black excellence and the quest for black excellence and how it was being roadblocked. I miss the Kanye who loved Tupac, who said, just the other day I got lynched by some crooked cops, and to this day them same cops on the beat getting major pay. When I get my check, they taking tax out. We paying the cops to knock the blacks out. I miss that Kanye who brings high intelligence. His friend Jay-Z said back when the police were accountable to black men. There are ways in which hip hop can serve as a useful forum to articulate valuable ideas that people of color find resonant in the application to our situation. Right now, this Kanye is a Kanye who is Kanye mess, not Kanye West, not Kanye at his best. And that's the real tragedy for my dear friend and great artist.
Michael Eric Dyson, you're the right man at the right time for a story that a lot of us were trying to make sense of. And since you quoted, I'll quote it. Kanye would say, you got the facts to back this. The book is What Truth Sounds Like. You just heard a little bit of it. We encourage our viewers to check out Michael Eric Dyson at your, what did you say, papyrus, at a physical paper?
That's right.
At your physical bookstore.
At the physical bookstore. Pick it up, check it out, dig deep into it, and holler back.
Professor, thank you as always. We'll see you again. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.